This video is supported by Dashlane. Some of you might not agree with what I'm about to say, but here it is. It seems to me that the Chinese smartphone manufacturers are changing the smartphone game with an unconventional strategy. It is easy to overlook a company when it's the third or the fourth in line, but just this year, Huawei has passed Apple to become the second in global smartphone sales, and Xiaomi has caught up with Samsung to become the most popular smartphone brand in India. So what is going on? What is this unconventional strategy you're talking about? I'm Lei. Let's talk about it today. When you think of Xiaomi's success in India or Huawei's dominance in China, what comes to your mind? The continued harassment of the Chinese government that favors local brands, the low-cost and therefore unsustainable strategy of Xiaomi, or the myriad product lines that cater to every segment of the Chinese and the Indian market? What if I tell you that the Chinese brands simply understand their customers a little bit better than Samsung or Apple? Could that be possible? Well, before you shake your heads to my outrageous assertion, let me first of all assure you that I don't believe in that statement either. In the world of internet, as long as a company has money, it can pretty much know whatever it wants to know about its customers. And speaking about money, no one has deeper pockets than Apple with $285 billion cash reserves sitting in the banks. However, it would be foolish of me to say the opposite either. Among the top 5 smartphone brands in China, 4 of them are Chinese brands, and in India, it basically is the same situation, just that you need to swap Apple with Samsung. So sentiments aside, the Chinese smartphone manufacturers at least are doing something right. So what is it? Product differentiation is the first factor at play here. After 2008 Olympics, people in the West kind of assumed a position that China is this prosperous and modern nation that is a part of the world's community. This is true to some extent, but as far as the people of China is concerned, the consumers are very fragmented. While the people of Beijing are now as rich as anyone else in the world, people of Gansu, a poorer province in China, lags far behind. Same thing happens to India. And this difference should not be underestimated either. From the outside, it's just a group of people making less money than the other, much like people of Central America and the coasts. But looking closely, you notice subtle details that makes a world of difference. Not only are they paid less, it also means gaps in education, cultural exposure, which leads to behavioral differences. Dual SIM popularity is a very good example. When most of my friends in Singapore couldn't understand why anyone needs 2 SIM cards in one phone, it's preferred by many consumers in huge developing nations like India and China because of specific data bundles available and also geographical reasons. They're using one SIM card for phone calls and messages, the other for data-heavy video streaming. Dual SIM also comes in handy when one's work requires him to travel from one province to another. Furthermore, not only are geographical factors at play, the speed of transformation is also an important factor. China and India have seen tremendous growth in the past decades. There are still a big pre-industrial population, insufficiently educated, and were exposed to totally different ideals. Therefore, the depth and breadth of product differentiation is significant. That's why we see outrageous smartphone designs like this made in China.
So I made this video about weird phones. My goodness, did I find some strange phones for that video. I decided to take it up a notch. The universe of strange phones is bigger than I thought. And the ones in front of me today are even weirder than the last one. 5 very weird phones.
While it's subjected to ridicule in the developed world, there is a legitimate demand for that product in China. Companies and consumers in the developed part of the world often perceive product differentiation as a pricing strategy. It is a necessity in huge developing countries like China and India. But so far, the strategies I've discussed apply to all Chinese smartphone brands. All of them do this. If we're talking about Xiaomi in particular, it has one killer move that no one is able to copy so far. It's Mi ecosystem. From afar, it might be weird to have a smartphone manufacturer make electric cookers or air purifiers or electric scooters, but there's actually a deeper strategic play here. Let me explain. Xiaomi's global ecosystem is in layers. At the core of its business is its smartphones, and it remains Xiaomi's money grab for now. On the outer layers, however, there are related electric devices like Xiaomi scooters and Mi Bands, which represents Internet of Things that are connected by Xiaomi smartphones. The outmost layer are lifestyle products that include everyday items like umbrellas and suitcases, which has nothing to do with smartphones whatsoever. Nevertheless, they are part of the Mi ecosystem. This looks more than weird for Xiaomi's brand at first glance, but I would actually like to argue that this reflects Xiaomi's deep understanding of the Chinese market. Think about it this way. If you want to buy a car in the United States, where would you go? Local car dealers, of course, Walmart, Target for groceries, and Best Buy for electronic devices. These are distributional channels that don't make product, but without them, a product cannot reach its end users. But since China embraced capitalism only in the past 3 decades, Taobao is here before any Chinese Walmart take hold. This is the market Xiaomi and Huawei inherited. Product loyalty, brand recognition, and distributional channels take time to build, but consumers in China don't have time. They didn't have time to get used to a Chinese version of Walmart, and instead, they've got Taobao and JD, the equivalent of Amazon. They didn't have time to get used to a Chinese version of Visa or American Express, and instead, they've got Alipay and WeChat Pay. Technology has changed developing nations so fast, so fundamentally, it didn't have time for a Chinese Walmart or a Chinese Visa to exist in the first place. Technology has essentially democratized the Chinese market. So as long as you have a great product and a recognizable brand like Xiaomi, people will prefer your product. That is exactly what I think Xiaomi is trying to do, building an enthusiast brand and sell various lifestyle products with it. This is also the reason why I think Xiaomi's strategy is right on in developing markets like China and India. Until now, I've made quite a few videos on Xiaomi and smartphones in general. One thing I increasingly realize that most people do not seem to understand why the Chinese smartphone manufacturers are growing so fast. If their success in China is fueled by Chinese local favoritism, there must be something different about them to have such tremendous growth in India and Europe. And I think Xiaomi's unique strategy is the answer. And to be honest, Xiaomi is walking on a path that no one has experimented before, so it's still too early to tell if this is going to be a winning strategy for Xiaomi in the future, but I'm betting on it because it taps into the deepest consumer psychology and behaviors of the market. However, regardless of the smartphones you use, be it a Xiaomi or a Huawei or perhaps an iPhone, managing a vault of secured passwords should be your top priority. Dashlane is a free platform-agnostic software that helps you manage and secure your password wherever you are. What this means is that with Dashlane, not only will you not forget a password ever again, you can be sure that they are all securely stored on a virtual vault that you can sync and access with all your devices. Moreover, Dashlane automatically generates secure passwords for you so you don't have to worry about coming up with strong passwords with caps and numerics ever again. That saved a lot of headaches for me. I'm sure it will do the same for you as well. So to support Curious Elephant and never worry about password security ever again, sign up for Dashlane with the link in the description down below for free. Our friends at Dashlane also sent me a 10% discount code, so be sure to use it when you decided to upgrade to their premium services.